Okay, I'm going to declare this now. One Piece chapter 1039, a top 5 chapter in Wano. Like literally a top 5 chapter, and Luffy wasn't included. That's the most surprising part, that we have a top 5 chapter. Might be top 3 in regards to enjoyment for me personally, and Luffy was not involved at all, right? So that just shows you just how much, well, I love Law and how, I guess, monumental it is that Big Mom presumably is down now. This is the breakdown, One Piece chapter 1039 breakdown, where we go through every single possible thing that we can, but we're not going to waste too much time. Again, we're going to go through this chapter and try to break it down, look at everything that happened, and let's get to it. So the cover art with Luffy and Kaido, I'm gonna just say it here, Luffy and Kaido will be amazing. It will be a fitting climax to the end of the biggest, the longest arc in One Piece. I think Oda understands and recognizes just how big this has to be, right? This has to be the ultimate finale. And then we get into some backstory and also post-Wano stuff, which will be amazing. But this fight, this conclusion, we just saw how amazing Law and Kid versus Big Mom was. I expect Luffy versus Kaido to be even bigger and better. That's the expectation. I'm sure Oda understands that. That's what he's been setting up. And the promotional material, everything's been saying that that's the case. So those are my expectations. The cover art with Robin looking at the skull, people are saying this could be pointing towards or referencing a video I made about Robin possibly getting captured, or even Usopp forbid dying. I don't know that. I think it could be tied to Shandora and Robin just looking at some ancient material. You could jump to the conclusion that the crewmates, they're all pretty much looking the same way. Zoro is looking towards Robin. What the crazy thing about things like this is that we dissect these cover art so much, but there's some merit to it, right? We go back and we see some things that Oda did put inside of these things. This is much ado about nothing, in my opinion. It's too much going on to even dissect anything. So that's why I'm, it's beautiful. We have the Monkey King pointing towards the gold. So it's all interesting, but I think it's just a beautiful piece of art, but it just doesn't make enough sense out of context. But to the chapter now. Okay, so Momonosuke. I don't think I really highlighted this as much, or people didn't hear me. I guess maybe I was mumbling. I tend to do that sometimes. I apologize. But Momonosuke, the person that is obviously speaking to him is Zunisha. Now to speculate where this goes from here, Momonosuke is currently struggling to hold up Onigashima, or to pull Onigashima away. If you look closely, he's wrapped the flame clouds around Onigashima and is pulling it away. So I think with Zunisha calling him, he could ask Zunisha for help to transport Onigashima away from the capital. But obviously they're going to have to interact, because when we think about Wano opening and the borders opening, we think about it more figuratively than literally. But I think both must happen. But of course, the structure of Wano, the sea current, all that different stuff can be completely changed by Zunisha. Zunisha, based on where it goes or where it stays, could completely alter the currents to make it that it's easier to access Wano. So Zunisha also has devastating power to change different things. So it's going to be a very intricate part to the opening of borders, and Momonosuke, I think this hint is the beginning of that. Now to Law and Kid versus Big Mom. First off, I gotta say, there's a lot of clamor in regards to how easily Big Mom went down, quote unquote easily, right? Because people are saying a Yonko can fight for a day, and Big Mom went down in maybe 15 minutes, 15-20 minutes. To be fair, Big Mom has been experiencing some damage throughout the arc. For the most part on the rooftop, Kaido took more damage than Big Mom for sure, but she's been taking some damage, not too much. However, in this case, I think to me it was obvious that it was never going to be a situation where a Yonko was going to fight the Straw Hats or fight anyone on screen for a day. That was always an off-screen feat, something Oda used to hype up these certain characters. It was never going to be something that takes place in the actual story for real, right? So I don't think we should knock the Yonko or Big Mom, if she is defeated, by the way, for going down right now, just because story-wise, that would be difficult to write. Yeah, you could say Oda wrote himself into a corner by hyping up these characters fighting for 5 days, like Ace and Jinbei, Akainu and Aokiji fighting for 10 days, even the Whitebeard and Roger Pirates fighting for 3 days. It does set an expectation, but in a war like this, that's almost impossible, right? So the last chapter we left off, Kid was hitting Big Mom with the Korma Bull. I like moments like this because it gives me an idea of what Oda's thinking, where Law is coming in and Law is talking about Kid taking the credit for his openings. What I think Oda's trying to highlight here is that he recognizes this, but he's basically explaining what's going going on where both of these people are necessary, where Law has to create the opening and Kid has that opportunity because of the opening that Law is creating. I think the feel of the chapter, right? Because something I've come to terms with this year or recently reading One Piece is there's a feel you get when you're reading the chapter or reading the story, and then there's the logical explanation, the logical feel when you go back and assess exactly what's happening, right? So when you assess the chapter, it feels like Law is dominating. It feels like Law is completely taking over and Law is far and away the more impressive combatant, right? It feels that way. Not far and away, but I think has the edge in regards to just flash and importance in this battle. When you go back and you assess logically this fight and everything that played out, they're both very important. Law is a bit more flashy. Law is the fighter that has the moves that people think are cooler, but Kid is just as important because you need someone like this. So just to assess it, right? Big Mom's arm is broken in this chapter. Now Law is making fun of Kid, saying he's going to use a hippo or an elephant next. That attack broke the arm of a Yonko who we felt like was the most difficult to get hurt or injured because of her iron balloon body. And so this is an amazing feat. Even though Big Mom does not acknowledge Kid as the one who broke her ribs, she acknowledged Law. Kid broke her arm. Law broke her ribs. So even though it's subtle, he is every step of the way showing Law is important, but Kid is important as well. Without each other, this is not possible, not even close. Okay, so Big Mom's bones are broken, and that's just showing the devastating damage both are doing. Regardless of what you think about how it looks, the creativity that Kid has, it's effective. Now there's some qualms because it goes back to, okay, is hockey not important? How is the metal damaging Big Mom? What is the force of this and how is it able to do this? Is it just because of Law? The story, in a way, somewhat made you feel like, okay, Advanced Conquers Hockey, that's the way you do it against the Yonko. And for 3 or 4, 5, 6 weeks, Advanced Conquers Hockey, it felt like that was the only way. So then people are like, okay, for the Yonko, no one can ever defeat the Yonko if they don't unlock these certain things. That was the meta. I even made a video about it saying that was the new meta, but we got to slow down because Devil Fruits and Awakening, it will play a major role. People got on me because they're saying I'm trying to discredit Advanced Conquers Hockey. I'm like, that no, it's just in a story, you can't have one power be just too overpowered. You must have a balance. And Oda, even though Kid has Conquers Hockey, that's the reason I think he didn't have Kid use Conquers Hockey. Here's kind of like, yeah, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And so he's using these characters to show that. Now, Big Mom's moveset is one of the more impressive ones in the series. She has so many different abilities, so many different ways she can affect you, affect herself, affect her surroundings. She is truly a nightmare. And these two people who are super creative in their own right was needed to defeat her. Now, someone asked the question, if Sanji and Zoro fought Big Mom, how would it turn out? Well, Sanji and Zoro are much more straightforward fighters than Kid and Law. I think having those devil fruits presents such an interesting matchup. It makes it so difficult. Now, I think Sanji and Zoro has a great chance as well. Don't get me wrong, because I think in regards to chemistry together, they would probably work better than Kid and Law. I think it will come down, in my opinion, to more so Sanji setting up and Zoro getting the attack. I think Zoro is the one that would have the power to actually damage Big Mom. However, Big Mom's getting damaged by Kid's attack. So Sanji with his new attack, his Ifrit Jambe, you can never really fathom a Yonko getting hurt by just regular attacks. You always associated it with Conquers Hockey. Me as an Admiral fan, I am not elated, but I'm laughing because there was a point in time where the community, a lot of people felt like it would take 3 admirals to defeat 1 Yonko. Let's move on. I'm not even going to say anything else. Y'all, you can come to your own conclusion based on that. The funny thing is people say that you're pushing an admiral agenda, even though I say there are more Yonko stronger than more admirals. In the top 10, I have the Yonko towards the upper end of that. However, I always felt like it was not as overwhelming as people would say. It's not that huge a gap as people think. Look how quickly the supernova closed the gap. And you think the strongest in the Marines, the strongest fighting force the Marines have, the people who are actually in power, the people who Big Mom and Kaido felt like they had to ally to stand a chance against, you feel like the strongest people they have would not have a chance at all against the Yonko? And you think 3 of them would be necessary? And you bring up Whitebeard, and I understand that fight, we're not going to go there. However, at no point in time at Marineford, 2 admirals engage Whitebeard at the same time. No. Okay? Because if they did, it would have ended horribly. And for story purposes, that cannot happen. Okay? So it's one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. Anyway, my point is not to downplay the Yonko, but to give props to everyone else. For the most part, the Yonko had always been getting the hype as No one can contest them. They are unreachable. They are invincible, but I've made several videos on this topic. Perception versus reality. What you perceive things to be as opposed to what they actually are. One Piece touches on that so often. In Whitebeard, a Yonko is the perfect example of that. I mentioned that the first time we see him, his box said the strongest man in the world, but then he's hooked up to IVs. It is purposeful. Big Mom, this person with this insane network, we go to Whole Cake Island and it's a mess. And she's the major reason. Perception versus reality. The true pirate of pirates, Shanks, heir apparent to Roger, seemingly no devil fruits, a pirate's pirate, going to the Gorosei as an informant. Things are never what they seem in One Piece. That's what makes the story so interesting, right? Not saying again the Yonko are weak. They are the strongest characters in the series, but a lot of these people are not that far behind, especially the admirals. They are right there. Even though I think, again, the Yonko are stronger than the admirals. They are admirals who can contest, and on a good day, could get the better of a Yonko. That's all. Let's move on. This chapter is also telling us that the time has come. Oda's been saying it for a while, that it's the new era, the people on the rooftop, they're the leaders of the next generation, the supernova, the worst generation. All this is coming to fruition. And that panel with Big Mom and the bull coming at her with Kid, it's beautiful because it shows just how ignorant Big Mom is, where it's like, well, I've been here for a while. We've been around for a while. You were just drinking from your mother when we were ruling. Yeah, that doesn't change the fact that it's over for you. And again, I want to give props to Kid in this video because I've given a lot of love to Law. Kid was really good. His assign ability, I think you should use it a lot more. Now, Kid is going to be a monster and very difficult to deal with for most people, 1v1. And again, his bull with his assign, the fact that it broke Big Mom's arm, meaning it could one-shot a lot of very powerful people, right? It broke Big Mom's arm. And when I say powerful people, not Yonko or admirals or even commanders, but pretty strong people, right? Members of the Grand Fleet. A lot of them are getting knocked out by that bull. But now to the people that are saying this was an underwhelming way for Yonko to go out, I completely disagree. If you remove the fact or the thinking of the Yonko fighting for days, etc., this fight makes a lot of sense. Again, Big Mom was throwing out a lot of things she had. Yes, you want to see Advanced Conquerors Hockey, you want to see more things. She was being constantly attacked from different places, all phases, internally and externally by Kid and Law. Back to Kid and his assign, that ability was so powerful, Big Mom could not get loose from the tower. She had to pick it up and move. Big Mom physically could not get loose. Mother's Misery, every time I see it, I think about Mother Carmel. I still think there has to be some resolution there. Maybe that's just me feeling like everything needs to be resolved in the story, but that's something that's such an open-ended thing. How does Big Mom find out about that? I mean, it just makes so much sense for Big Mom to just remember these things, and that's the way where she goes out, where people, again, Kid and Law, I think they've already earned the W, but if that's another way in which she's out permanently for the rest of the arc, where it's like they defeated her, but she somewhat remembered what happened, that aided her being knocked out and being rendered useless for the rest of the arc, people would say, well, Kid and Law, they got the W. Even though Kid and Law got the W in addition to her remembering these things and it affecting her, right? But all people would see, right, the people that are reporting the big news, etc., Kid and Law knocked her out. And that would keep the Yonko's dignity, I guess, somewhat intact, even though I think she went out valiantly. She's just fighting two completely broken devil fruit users. Now, Law's Kroom, Law's Awakening. Remember for Room, he says he can use anything within his room he can control. It seems like he applies those effects to a specific item, which is his blade. And so he can do anything he wants to this blade. And so therefore, he made this blade go from Onigashima to Wano and created this insane giant crater where a lot of people are speculating that's where Yamato throws the bombs. So Law basically handled two problems with one attack. Fantastic. Just amazing. I can't wait to see these two post Wano. Again, Kid's railgun, this is what I've been waiting to see from him. The fact that he's able to create something as devastating as this, again, we didn't see the area of effect after the attack, but it's incredible. Kid has my respect. No more slander for me. We back. Did it live up to my expectations? Not quite. But my expectations were lowered based on how things had gone so far. And so Eustace Captain Kid, one of my Yonko candidates for sure. But guys, give me your thoughts. How do you feel about the chapter? Amazing. Top 3, top 5 chapter in all of Wano. Seriously. And Luffy wasn't included. So wait till we get Luffy versus Kaido. But guys, give me your thoughts. Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.Ace. Something I liked as well, really before I end it, is the fact that Big Mom, before she's, you know, we think she's done, she said, I am Big Mom, where at the end, she was depending on the fact that I am Big Mom. I'm someone that's been ruling parting the seas for so long. Like, that was her final stance. She looked the kid in the face and said, give it your best shot. That's how you want to take down a Yonko. That's how you want to get a W. Face to face, I'm gonna blow you away. And that's what Kid did. Shout out to Kid, man. That's so dope. Yeah, like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoD8. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.Ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys all so much. Again, guys, be sure to like and subscribe. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Okay, I start doubting me, I felt lost. I rewrite